Hi and welcome to the QRI 5, Chapter 7, Prior Knowledge. Prior knowledge is assessed at the beginning of each passage. The prior knowledge is the concept questions or the prediction task. The concept questions and prediction task are in a box at the beginning before the passages. It's to determine if the students are familiar or unfamiliar with the concepts. The concept questions, the students are supposed to score 55% or higher for them to be considered familiar. If it's 55% or higher, we're not going to ask the prediction task. If it's less than 55%, you may ask the prediction task, and the directions are all on page 38. The purpose of assessing prior knowledge is to help to evaluate if the student's comprehension difficulties are in relation to their knowledge base or not. Are they familiar with the concept and they still perform poorly? They're not relying on prior knowledge. Do they perform better with concepts that are familiar to them versus they're not familiar to them, which is what research shows most often? Is there a strong relationship between the student's prior knowledge and comprehension? The concept questions are usually 3 to 5 questions, and they should be centered around the topic of the passage. And it indicates the student's ability to answer implicit questions at this point. For the procedure, the questions are under the title. You ask all questions prior to them reading. And the directions are, before you read, I want to know what you already know about some ideas in the text. I will ask you a few questions to find out. These same directions are on page 38 of the manual. The scoring of the concept questions is one of the more difficult things to score on the QRI 5. Students receive a score of 3, 2, 1, or 0 points for their responses. If you look in the manual, in Chapter 7, they give you specific examples of how to score the 3, 2, 1, 0. The examples are provided. 3 points is a precise definition, a synonym, a definitional response, or an answer which is specifically related to the passage content that they're getting ready to read. 2 points is an example of the concept, an attribute, a characteristic, or a function. They receive 1 point if they give a general association of the concept, an isolation of the root word, prefix, suffix, or they give you a first-hand personal experience in regard to the concept. They get 0 points if they give you a rhyming word, or they give you a response that has nothing to do with what you just asked them or what you're talking about or the story, or they simply give you no response or tell you, I don't know. If the student scores a 1 or 0 on all the concept questions, they will get a score of less than 55%. So then you give them the prediction task. The prediction task directions are, given that the title of the passage is, and you read in the title of the passage, and it includes the ideas, blank, 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 and blank, naming the concepts within the actual concept questions, what do you think the passage will be about? I want you to take a guess or make a prediction about what you think the passage will be about. Those same directions are on page 38 in the manual. You record their response and you indicate, does it sound like they're familiar with the concept or unfamiliar? Scoring the prediction task. If it is significantly correlated with the retelling and the comprehension, then yes, they're familiar with it. You count the number of idea statements the student predicts that are also contained in the passage, either explicitly or implicitly. If they simply restate what you just said, then no, that's not. But you can then probe them. So, what about? And you restate what they might have just said or the same thing that you were asking them in regard to the concept questions attributes. In order to score the concept questions in the prediction task, you need to have read the passage. So make sure you're familiar with the passage before you ask them the prediction task.